guys. So we're really excited to be talking to you guys about our debt-free journey. For those of you that are new here, I'm Christy.
And I'm David.
And we're married. So I wanted to make this pretty direct. I just want to talk to you guys about our story. We got married. We got married when I was 24. Mm-hmm. You were 22, 23?
I believe we got married in 2016. So 2016, if I'm currently 25, then 2016, that's 3 years ago. So yeah, 22.
22.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we were babies.
Yeah.
And we got engaged 2 years before that. So we had 2 years to kind of figure out, what we wanted to do, what we wanted to live, what our careers were going to look like, what our finances were going to look like. So I wrote notes here so I'd stay on track because it's very easy for me to get off track. So, okay, so we got engaged. We knew it was really important that we wanted to start our marriage off without any debt, and be free of that. So what we did is we paid off all of our debt before the wedding date. So like I said, we had 2 years to do that. And some of our debts were your car,
mm-hmm.
Your guitars,
yep,
your laptop.
Actually, one guitar, one MacBook Pro that I use for editing, and my car, which was obviously the biggest one. And actually, when we did get engaged, I remember coming to you with that budget to pay all those things off right ahead. Because that was the only way that engagement was a great idea.
My dad's like, how are y'all going to do this? And David's like, well, budget.
Yeah.
So we did that. We did not have student loans. So I know this is a little bit different than most of you are dealing with. But I want to talk about why we didn't have student loans. So I'll talk about my story and you can let them know about you. But mm-hmm. From a very early age, my family stressed, pay your bills on time. We were never in debt. My dad never missed a credit card payment or a bill payment or anything. So that was really instilled in us from a really early age. And I knew that when I went to college, I was going to do my best to make sure that I had scholarships. I killed myself through high school, making sure that my grades were good. I didn't party. I wasn't in those popular cliques. I was home studying and I really liked it. Honestly, I'm a huge geek, so I didn't really mind it. When I went into college, everything was paid for. I had a Bright Future scholarship. I had another scholarship that really wasn't within I can't say I earned it. I got it for being Hispanic. And then everything else, I got some presidential something for my grades and stuff. So I stayed local. I didn't go away for college. I drove, I commuted. I made sure that my schedule, I coordinated all of my classes. So it was 3 days a week. I wasn't driving 45 minutes there and back every single day. I packed a lunch. So that's what I did through college. I did some side things making jewelry and bracelets and stuff, and I would sell it at lunch, and so that helped me out a little bit too. And what's your story?
The story is completely different from her story. So, when it came to college, I kind of had to figure it out on my own. So, I started working when I was 17, and I was going to school at the same time because I did the whole college academy, leaving high school early to start college.
I did that too, by the way.
but I had so much free time that I'm like, I might as well start working. So I started working. Actually washed dishes in the back of a salad place. That was the main crux of my job.
And you were a cafeteria lady.
Well,
Can we talk about that? Are we allowed to?
That was my second job. But I started off as a it wasn't a lunch lady, but it's the person, just washing dishes, cleaning bathrooms, and in the first job.
Okay.
And I had to pretty much put myself through school. So once I was starting to go to school full time, I had this junk car, cost about $1,000, was breaking down on me every 3 seconds. I didn't have money for any other car. That was my issue. Because at the time I was working part time. And before I had that car, I was actually riding my bike to work. So I've been trying to save money since I was a little kid. I remember my parents started off giving me an allowance every single week of $5. And I saved it up until the point that I had $160. And I bought myself my first cell phone because my dad told me if I wanted a cell phone that I had to pay for it. So at 13 years old, 12 years old, I bought myself the Motorola Razr, the top phone of the time, right? Cool. And and I worked for it with the little bit of allowance that I got for doing chores around the house and doing all that stuff. But yeah, in college, I was going to school full time and I was working full time because that was the only way that I could afford the bills that I had. And my car, I had to switch because I almost was about to die in that junk that I had.
So explain to them, why was it that you refused to take out student loans?
Well, I knew from the get that if you take out student loans, you're going to carry them forever. Like, it's practically like being in jail without being in jail. That's the way I always saw it. So although I couldn't get financial aid, I was actually part of that middle class family that your parents made too much money for you to qualify for financial aid, but your parents didn't have enough money to pay for your school. So because we were paying for all the other stuff that they were doing, and so I had to kind of fend for myself at that point. Didn't have any money for college, didn't have anything. So although they offered tons of loans to me all the time, and man, I tell you that it was very, 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 what's the word?
Difficult?
It's
tempting?
Tempting, that's a word. It's very tempting not to take it because, I mean, it feels like free money, especially when you're that young and you don't understand what the value of money is because you're not used to working all the time. Then you feel like, oh, they're just giving me $2,000, whatever. I don't have to worry about it now. I can worry about it 10 years from now. You know, and even then you don't think that you're going to worry about it 10 years from now when you actually do it. But since I had kind of been working since I was so young, I understood that money cost labor, and I didn't want to have to dish out the extra labor in the future to be able to pay for the school. So I dished out the extra labor while I was young and strong and had energy, and I worked 2 jobs, and about 14 hours a day I was pulling. I would work after school care. I would also be a lunch lady in the mornings. And I tutored after that.
3 jobs at one point. So full-time school and 3
jobs.
And
full-time school, like we're talking 5 classes a semester. And we're talking like calculus, like hard classes that aren't the easiest thing in the world. Statistics, everything.
You were studying to be a math professor. So you can imagine the intense math classes and then tutoring for math. So you were really busy. I hardly saw him. And when I did see him, he was falling asleep. I mean, he was falling asleep in parking lots and sometimes in the car. Like, it was bad. So what I did is he worked at Panera at one point.
After I left the lunch lady job.
Upgrade.
Well, actually, I only upgraded to that one because it was an earlier schedule, so I got to take a 1-hour nap between classes and work. So instead of going in at 6 in the morning when I was a lunch lady, I got to go in at 5 in the morning at Panera. And I was like, oh, this is great, except I'm working like 5 to 7 every single day.
Yeah, no, it was brutal. And I mean, I would go and visit you during lunch because we were dating. Like, I barely saw him. It was very lonely. And Panera was so close to my house. So every day, pretty much, every time he was working, I would go by and I would bring him lunch. And one day the boss was just like, hey, you're here every day. You want to just work here? And I was like, yeah, I will. I'll take up another job. I was also working aftercare at a different school. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'll make some extra money. I'll put it away. And this will just be my time to hang out with my boyfriend. So that's what we did for a little while.
So I'd pick her up at 4:30 in the morning to take her to work.
Oh, fun times. It teaches you, though.
It was difficult.
So... Okay, so all those jobs got David through school. It also helped to finish paying off David's car, all of his guitars.
Well, actually, before we even got to the point of paying off my car, my whole goal was obviously to propose to Christy, right? But at the time, I had switched to my other job, and since I was going to school even more, I couldn't work as much as before. So I was still pulling like 45, 50 hours a week. But I switched to a job at UPS, right? And at UPS, I wasn't making much money. Like, I started off at $8 an hour. like less than what people are usually starting off nowadays. Now you can go to the gym and start off at $10.50 an hour.
I made $7.11
Back
in my first
yeah.
job.
Back then, if $10.50 an hour was like a millionaire to me. Like I was taking jobs for $7.25. I worked in my first job.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I went and I had the UPS job, and obviously I wanted to get her something nice when I proposed to her. I didn't want to be the guy in the romantic comedy movies that goes and gets a little plastic ring at one of those machines at Walmart, so she can have a plastic ring, and I'll be like, I can't afford it now, but maybe in the future, kind of thing. I didn't want to do one of those things.
I would have kept it forever because I'm very sentimental, so it's kind of been weird.
But yeah, so I wanted to save up money and get her a nice ring. So on top of my UPS job, I started doing a bunch of side hustles, which I was used to because I grew up in a band. And for us to be able to fund our music projects and our albums, we would go wash cars. We even tried installing windows for for money. Mm-hmm. We cracked people's windows. It was a mess, but we tried all kinds of odd jobs. So to be able to get her ring, I toured with different musicians around the state of Florida and got paid for doing that because I'm a musician. I also did some photo work. So I did a couple photo shoots. I did some video work. And I made some money off of that, and every single dollar I put away until I had enough money to just go and pay off the ring in full that I wanted to get her and just be done with it. And then that way I can present her a ring that was completely paid off, so it's not like I'm giving her a ring and she has to take on the debt that I incurred just to be able to propose to her. That doesn't make any sense to do it that way. So that's why I busted my butt, working crazy hours, tutoring again, and just to be able to get that ring. But that's what started, I guess, my whole mentality of you don't have to take out loans to do things. You could just work harder, get the money to do it, and then you don't have to worry about it later.
Yep.
So when I proposed to her, I had already written out the whole budget that I had set up, and I knew I had a computer that I was paying off. I knew I had my guitar, my Taylor guitar that was super expensive. For any of you that play guitar, you know what that is. And I also had to pay off my car. Now, my car was $8,000 that I owed on that car. And luckily, at the time, Christy had just gotten a new job, right? And you were making probably how much?
Which job are we talking about?
We're talking about the one right out of college. You weren't even making
much.
Your very first job out of college, probably about $13 an hour is when you started, right?
I think I was making $14 an hour at the job.
No, I think you started at 13 and then you moved up to 14.
Oh, you're right. I started at 13 and then I moved. Yeah.
So for all of those that believe that you're going to get out of college and make $1 billion starting off.
But you know what I want to say though? Really quick, because I don't want to make this video super long and I want to get to your questions. But because I did what I did, getting myself through school, all of my money, all of it, practically all of it, from my first full-time job went into savings. So after I paid off my insurance, my gas, and like food, I was living at home, so I didn't have to, pay rent or anything like that. Mm-hmm. All of my money went into savings, and so that was a huge help, and we were able to.
Yeah, you were only living on about 70% of your paychecks.
Yeah,
I mean, you were saving 70% of your paycheck,
right.
Only living on about 30%.
Right. So with that, I mean, we were able to knock out everything right before we got married, and when I say everything, I mean our wedding expenses. I mean, my dad helped a lot. But we wanted some things and we wanted to pay for them ourselves, and so we did that. But it was just really important that we paid everything off before we got married.
Yep.
To not have that on us.
Yep.
So yeah. So once we were married, David, made a new budget because now we're living together. We have rent. There's just a lot of additional things when you're married and you're living together that you're not used to when you're living at home. So he went and tackled that, and in order for us to stay on that budget, we had to get a little creative. So I learned to cook. I mean, I always knew how to cook, but I learned how to really cook. Yeah. I got good at cooking with canned beans, let me tell you. What else? We didn't go out very often. We lived we were renting an apartment in Kissimmee, so we were around a lot of like really cool like restaurants and like touristy things.
It was the best area to live, to go out to eat every single night.
Worst area to live when you're budgeting, because we only went to like 3 of those restaurants.
Yeah,
There's
and
so many places I still want to go.
Our constant date night was Bonefish Grill on Wednesday nights.
Bang Bang Shrimp.
Because they had $6 Bang Bang Shrimp, so we'd go there for $12. We'd have a fancy date night, get dressed up. You get water, you get bread, you get shrimp.
You get fancy shrimp, you go dressed nice, and then you come home and it feels like a date.
You feel like you're having this expensive night out and it costs you $12.
Yeah, it was nice. Bonefish was good to us. It was very good to us. And then we found creative ways to do dates. So, sometimes we would be like, hey, let's go to Target and get like a clearance puzzle of like 1,000 pieces. Yep. And that's what we did that night. Or
make a pillow fort out of the
let's turn off all technology and let's be 3 and let's make a pillow fort and let's play these like old school games like Trouble and like bake cookies and so we did a lot of that. When we were dating, even saving up, like when we were engaged, it was a lot of picnics and Chef Boyardee, like mini dates in between jobs, like eating frozen chicken patties that David would make me that were sometimes still frozen.
Those were my gourmet frozen chicken patties.
Sometimes they were still frozen and I had to smile and eat them because I loved him so much. But yeah, that was our story. Is there anything else you want to say about our story?
No.
Before we get on to questions?
I think that's about it.
So that's us. And now I want to get to some of your questions, and then I also want to talk about some steps that you can do. Which mostly you're going to be talking about that, of how to start and where to start. So some questions we got from you guys are, in order to be debt-free, do you need to plan every financial investment?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Every single one.
Yeah.
You can't make decisions on the fly. You have to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and you cannot take on more than you know you can take on. You have to know that you can afford something before you go and buy it. If you're going to buy a new couch and it costs $1,000, you need to have your emergency fund already filled up, and after all your month's bills, at least $1,000 in the bank. Before you even put that couch on a credit card, before you do anything, you don't spend a single dollar that you don't have.
Yeah, you got to budget everything. I mean, it's budgeting groceries, it's budgeting your makeup, it's finding, especially for me, that was hard. Like, I can't buy candles randomly. Like, what? Like, you can't buy home decor randomly. What? So, yes, you need to plan every single thing. You need to budget yourself. This month, maybe I want fall candles and there's a sale at Bed Bath & Beyond, but I'm going to limit myself to $20 and that's it. And when they burn out, they burn out. And when they burn out, I'll wait for the next sale and I'll get another one if that's something that really, really, really makes me happy. But also, if I'm in a lot of debt, I'm not going to buy the candle. So it's a lot about, knowing what your goal is and knowing your spending habits. I think is the most important, is knowing where your money's going.
Yep.
So next question. How do you guys do it? I'm curious because I'm in a little debt, but I also have a special needs baby and a 3-month-old.
Okay, when it comes to having kids, now we personally don't have kids. That's going to be something that we'll face, obviously, in the future. Mm-hmm. But, family comes first before everything. So you have to identify what are the bare bones necessities that you and your family needs, especially if you have somebody that's special needs, to be able to survive. To be able to get through it.
I guess what I would say about that too is, your kids come first, and everything else is second. Everything. Your Netflix account, getting your nails done, like anything else that does not have to do with taking care of your kids and putting food on the table. All those things are just wants and they're not needs. And when you're trying to get out of debt, it's really important to identify the wants versus the needs and making that sacrifice, because it's not. Obviously getting out of debt is great for the individual, but it's even better for the family because nobody's stressed and you can give them exactly what it is that they need without the added pressure and weight in your life. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So next, what's the first step? I'm overwhelmed. Me too, when I started. What's the first step? Finding a budget. I think.
Yep.
I think it's just identifying, like, what are we spending the most on? Like, sit there, do your bills for that month, see everything that you spent, and then find out, did I spend $200 on makeup this month? Do I have a lot of makeup in my drawer? Do I need this? Like,
Yep.
did I spend a lot going out to eat? You know, am I spending $10 every time I go out to eat for lunch? Or can I minimize that? Can I do $5? Can I do $7? So,
Yeah, you'll be surprised how much things bottle up over time, even just the little things.
yeah.
I mean, if you spend $10 on lunch every single day that you're at work, let's say that you work only 5 days a week, that's what, 20 days a month? You're spending $10, that's $200 that you wouldn't have spent otherwise. Or if you could have done it differently and brought food from home, maybe offset it, maybe the food from home ends up costing you $3 a day.
Listen, food from home is always going to cost you less.
Yep.
It always will. So I'd suggest learn to cook.
Yep.
Learn to cook. YouTube, find a friend, like, you can do it. And there's like really easy like crock pot, like dump and ready type things. You'll find a way.
Yep.
Okay. Any couponing tips? Yes. Okay. This is my favorite topic because I've actually been using this website for years, like since I was like 15 with my first like little debit card or something. It's called My Points. And the way that it works is you sign in, you make an account, and it's a point reward program that gives you either e-gift cards or like physical gift cards. What I love about it is that it has almost every store that you shop at normally. I'm talking about like Walmart, like Amazon, Walgreens, like it's literally everything. And what you do is, like for me, even grocery shopping, like I do a lot of like Walmart pickup. So I'll go to mypoints.com, I'll go to shop, I'll go to Walmart, I'll click Walmart. It opens Walmart for me, like the browser, and it has like a little tracking link. And that's how My Points knows that you're on that site from their site. And then you just shop as you normally would, and you get points for it. And then those points you can redeem and get gift cards. So actually, since I've been doing this forever, we had a lot of gift cards stacked up when we first moved into this home. So I ended up getting like Home Depot gift cards, Lowe's gift cards, and we use them to buy like our pendant lights, paint. Like we use them for a lot of stuff. So it's not something I would suggest doing, like, oh, let me shop at this place I don't normally shop to get points. Bad idea. But if you're buying online anyway, if you're already buying, you know, your air filters on Amazon, or you're buying, you know, your dog food at, you know, wherever, Petco or wherever, just check My Points. See if the vendors that you normally buy your stuff from are on there. And then just buy it through there. It's literally one click difference and you're getting points for it. So I highly suggest that. And then other than that, it's just like, you know, signing up for emails and like checking out like coupons. The Honey app is really, 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 really helpful.
Yep.
And if you want something and you're window shopping online, stick it in your cart, come back in a few days and see how you feel about it. Because that's something that really helped me, like, with my spending habits. Like, I was very used to, since I didn't have debt growing up, being like, oh, I like this. Like, I'm just going to get it. Like, I can get it. Horrible, because that means I'm not saving. So I think, you know, having that discipline and having it in your cart and seeing how you feel about it a couple days later, sometimes I'm just like, I could do without it. Like, I don't really need it. And that helps. Not necessarily couponing, but it's helpful. Last question. How should we start saving for a house?
Okay, so as far as a house goes, you have to understand what you can afford first. So first step is getting pre-qualified. Even if you're not planning on buying a house in the 3 months that they give you for the pre-qualification to actually be, for you to be able to use it, or I believe it's 30 days to 3 months, depends on who you go with, then you still understand what they claim that you can afford and what kind of loan you can get. Once you understand the kind of loan that you can get, then you can start looking at different things in your price range, and that'll give you an idea of how much you have to save up to be able to get a house. Now, if you're a first-time homeowner, or if you haven't bought a house yet and this is going to be your first time, you're most likely going to be able to qualify for a 3.5% FHA loan. So what that is you have the cost of the house, you pay 3.5% of that cost out of pocket plus closing costs, and that's what enables you to be able to get the house. And the remainder that you haven't put into it, so 96.5%, is what you take out as a loan. So that way you can actually, there's a ton of online calculators that you can look at for calculating your mortgage. And you can have an understanding of how much you're going to end up paying once you put that 3.5% down. If you go with a new build, sometimes they'll offset your closing costs. So either they can offset all of them, or they'll give you a huge portion. So they'll give you like $8,000, let's say, towards your $10,000 of closing costs, and then you only have to pay $2,000 out of pocket. So my advice to everybody that tells me that they're planning on buying a house and that they want to start saving for it is, if you're looking in the price range of about $200 to $240-ish, save at least $15,000 before you can actually go ahead and purchase that house. If it's a new build, otherwise you're going to have to see what the cost of the closing cost is going to be. And most companies can kind of walk you through that. The same company that's going to pre-qualify you. If you live in our area, Cross Country Mortgage is a great company. You can just ask for Monica in that company. She's the one that helped us when we were purchasing our first house, and she is fantastic. So yeah, that's the first thing that you can do. And once you figure out how much you actually have to pay towards a house, then you can start a budget. And let's say that you have a 2-year timeline that you want to get your first house. Then you get whatever the amount that you have to save up is. If it's $15,000, divide it by 24 months if you want to do it in 2 years. And I would say save even a little bit more than that monthly plan, just in case anything comes up, any emergency comes up. And that's how we did it. When we bought our house, we already had the savings to be able to put the down payment on, but we actually set ourselves a goal, and we said, you know what, instead of using the money that we actually saved up to buy a house, why don't we save up the money from now until the house is built, because we got a new build, so it took about 6 months. Let's save the money from now to 6 months that we're going to have to put down, and we did it. We set up a budget, divided it, every single month, hammered it out, barely ate out, lived on bare bones necessities. We didn't get any Disney passes, didn't get any Universal passes.
I canceled all my beauty box
Nothing
subscriptions.
frivolous.
I stopped buying clothes. Like, it was real.
Yep.
But we did it, and I would not have done it any other way, would you?
Nope.
Yep. So this got kind of long. I think we're probably going to end here, and what I'm going to do is our top 5 tips for how to get started. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on a blog post, and I'll share that with you guys. But yeah, I think it's something that you'll definitely want to read. I know a lot of this can seem really overwhelming, and part of it is because it is. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and just that's not easy. Like, it's not easy having that kind of, discipline and changing what you've always been doing for the future that you're not even sure of. But I promise you it's worth it. And if we can give you at least a little bit of help along the way, then, we're happy to do it.
Yep.
So let us know if you have any additional questions. Make sure to check out that blog post. And yeah, thanks for watching.